You ever notice how power reveals people for who they really are? I sure didn't. Not until the night my living room went dark while every neighbor's house shined like a smug little row of Christmas trees all lit up as if nothing in the world could touch their comfort. At first I thought it was just another blackout, one of those rolling glitches we get when the wind picks up, or a squirrel meets his maker. But then I saw my own meter spinning faster than a Vegas slot machine and a chill ran down my back. That's when I knew someone was siphoning my electricity right out from under me, bold as daylight. So I grabbed a flashlight, stepped outside, and followed the faint illegal hum snaking through my hedge. And there it was, 3 bright orange cords crawling out from my main box, stretching across the lawn toward my neighbor's garages like a bunch of electrical vipers. I didn't need to guess who'd cooked this up. Karen, our HOA president, queen of the cul-de-sac dictator of the decorative rock bed, was behind it. She'd found a new way to test my patience, and she was just getting started. Next morning, here she comes, clipboard in hand, smile as wide as the highway waving a letter, like she just wrote the Declaration of Independence. She called it a Community Energy Redistribution Initiative. Translation: my house was now required to share power with the 3 houses conveniently clustered around me, all for the good of the grid. She said, we all have to do our part. I said, no, Karen, you have to do your part and my part, and apparently pay none of the bill. She didn't even blink, just smiled wider. Said, it's sustainability. I told her it was theft. You know what I mean? I didn't move here to join a HOA commune. I wanted peace, no noise, no city chaos, just a decent place where folks cut their grass and minded their business. Instead, I landed in a dictatorship with weekly landscaping audits and a tyrant who thought she was the electric company. Karen ran the HOA like a cross between a mayor and a kindergarten teacher. Mailbox paint, garbage bins, even the type of mulch had to pass her inspection. I kept to myself until the day I installed my solar panels and a backup generator. Suddenly, I was the elitist loner with too much electricity. Her words, not mine. Thing is, my system was off-grid capable. So when blackouts rolled through, my porch glowed like a lighthouse in a sea of darkness, and it drove her absolutely nuts. She'd call meetings, wagging her finger at residents who weren't cooperating with the collective. Now with her energy initiative, it all made sense. This wasn't about sustainability, it was about control. I tried reasoning. Karen, you can't just hook 3 houses up to my meter. She called it temporary, but when I asked how long, she said, until the community feels balanced. I almost laughed. Balanced is HOA code for until I say so. When I refused, she threatened me with fines, suspension of privileges. I'd never used even a hearing. The way she looked at me, it wasn't about the rules anymore. It was personal. That night, just for kicks, I flipped my main switch off for a minute. In 30 seconds, 3 doors swung open in unison. Neighbors waving flashlights, shouting, "The power's out again." One yelled, "Check the HOA line." Right then it hit me. My house had become the power plant for the whole block. Karen didn't even try to hide it. At the next emergency HOA meeting, her idea, of course, she stood at the front, grinning like a game show host. She thanked me for volunteering to support our sustainable power initiative. The applause stung like static. I stood up. Correction, I didn't volunteer. She cut me off, saying I'd be reimbursed with community credits. Turns out that meant a plaque at the clubhouse, no joke. I laughed so hard the room went silent. "You're stealing electricity, Karen." She crossed her arms. "Cool as you please, it's community sharing." I said, "Great. Then share your car keys." Yeah, that didn't go over well. By now my system was struggling. The lights flickered, the generator groaned. I unplugged everything, sat on the porch, and watched the power I paid for flow out of my house like a free lifeline to folks who'd suddenly become very friendly, too friendly. The Johnsons baked me cookies, the Millers waved like we'd been best pals since kindergarten. Even Mrs. Green, who hardly ever spoke, thanked me for supporting the community. It made me sick. I wasn't mad at her, but Karen, she knew exactly what she was doing. I decided to gather proof, set up a trail camera, hit a watt meter in line, and waited. Sure enough, that night Karen and her maintenance guy showed up crouched by my box, whispering and tinkering. My camera caught it all, her screwdriver in hand, the maintenance guy nodding along. The next day I walked into her office, photos in hand. She barely glanced at them. "Out of context," she said. "The context is theft," I shot back. "It's a community initiative," she insisted. "We're building resilience." I told her, "You're building a lawsuit." For the first time, her smile cracked. "We'll handle this through official channels." "Perfect," I said. "Official channels love footage." Days passed. The fines started rolling in. One for obstructing community power optimization, another for failing to uphold HOA policies. She'd weaponized bureaucracy, but I didn't tear the notices down, I framed them. Every villain deserves a trophy, right? But Karen wasn't done. She tried to legalize her little scam, dragging in 2 county inspectors to my yard. They didn't have real ID, and when I called the actual county, they'd never sent anyone. Impersonation, plain and simple. I went down to the county records office. Sure enough, found a temporary power easement, supposedly registered to the HOA, signed by Karen's husband, a lawnmower salesman who'd never held a real permit in his life. Permit numbers didn't even match the county format. The clerk raised her eyebrows. "Looks like a forgery to me." I made copies, filed a complaint, and waited. That night, Karen strolled by my driveway, chin high. "Hope you cooperated with the inspection," she called out. I smiled. They were fascinating actors. Her smile faltered. She knew I was on to her. The next morning, I called up Sheriff Daniels. Good guy's sharp. I told him everything. He said, "Sounds like HOA fraud, but I'll need solid proof." I promised I'd have it by sundown. Piled all the evidence, photos, logs, fake permits, even a new video of 2 figures trying to break into my power box again. This time I called out. They bolted. One tripped over my hedge, the other disappeared into Karen's yard. When I showed her the live footage, she shrugged. "Probably raccoons." I deadpanned. "Unless raccoons wear reflective vests, I doubt it." That week, the deputy paid Karen a visit. She stormed up to my property line, accusing me of calling the cops on her. "No, Karen, I called them on whoever's breaking into my box," I replied. She hissed, "You're making a big mistake." I told her that's what people say right before they realize they already made one. She stormed off, dog barking at her heels. She tried to drag me to a resolution hearing, her husband, 2 sleepy board members. I handed over the forged permit. "This is a misunderstanding," she sputtered. "Then let's let the sheriff misunderstand it too," I said, and walked out. Then karma showed up quick and loud. A few mornings later, half the block lost power with a loud bang. The Johnsons' porch smelled like burnt plastic. A stolen orange cord had melted and scorched their siding. Karen screamed sabotage, pointed at me. I told her calmly, "I just disconnected my property, Karen. You're welcome. I just saved your neighbor's house from burning down." Sheriff Daniels took one look at the evidence and said, "Ma'am, impersonating county authority is a serious offense." Her face turned white as a sheet. The next HOA meeting was chaos. Karen blustered about unity and healing, but when the treasurer revealed energy stabilization fees had been transferred to her personal account, the room went silent. Karen's composure crumbled just as the lights in the clubhouse died, completely pure poetry. That night, I sent her latest $500 fine notice right back to her with "See you in court" scrawled on it. An electrician named Jorge dropped by to check my system. Said I was lucky they hadn't fried the whole setup. "Man, I've seen HOA stupidity, but this one's got voltage," he joked. That's when it hit me. Karen's greed could have burned the place down. Soon after the board held a vote, Karen lost her presidency by a landslide. She left furious, but not defeated. That night I found a rock tossed over my fence with a note, "You don't understand what you've started." I smiled. She wasn't warning me, she was threatening me. I took control, buried my main line, locked down every connection. From then on, my power was mine alone, no more free rides. When Karen sent her cousin the energy consultant to inspect my system, he ignored my warnings, poked the wrong wire, and got a mild shock for his trouble. I uploaded the video to the neighborhood forum. Folks laughed, called for her recall. The tide had finally turned. Karen tried one last stunt, taping smear flyers to every mailbox. The sheriff showed up this time to warn her, not me. County filed an official complaint against her for impersonating inspectors. Then came the audit, real professionals tracing every illegal wire. They found a spider web of tampered lines, all pointing back to my house as the original source. The county attorney said, "This isn't just HOA misconduct, it's utility fraud." He asked me to testify. Karen panicked, tried to hide evidence in a storage unit. I caught her on camera, tipped off the sheriff. 2 days later, they raided the unit, found enough proof to bury her in paperwork. The board suspended her pending investigation. When I found another forced lock on my vault with a nasty note, the deputy just shook his head. "She's gonna hang herself with her own wire." Couldn't have said it better. Then came the real reckoning. The hearing room wasn't a courtroom, but it sure felt like one. Every document, every fake permit, every photo on display. Karen gave a speech about being misunderstood, tried to shift the blame to her husband. The chairwoman wasn't buying it. County found her guilty of code violations, forgery, and unauthorized use of utilities. Fined, banned from ever holding office again, and ordered to repay everything she'd taken. When she left, her heels echoed like punctuation on the end of a bad chapter. Local news picked up the story. HOA president found guilty in power theft scheme. Neighbors who once snubbed me now waved, even brought over cookies, because apparently cookies fix everything. The new president, Howard, rewrote the rules. No more shared utilities, transparency in all dealings. HOA meetings became, well, boring. And let me tell you, boring never felt so good. A few weeks later, Karen showed up at my door one last time, soaked from the rain, holding a box of her old forged permits. "You were right," she said quietly. "I didn't just lose power. I lost myself in it." I took the box, nodded, and closed the door. Tossed the papers into the fireplace. Watched the past burn clean and final. And so the war over a few kilowatts of electricity ended. Not with fireworks, but with peace. A quiet kind of revenge, if you ask me. Now when I sit on my porch, the only hum I hear is my own generator. The lights that glow are mine, and the street for the first time feels like home. No more power plays, no more threats, just neighbors living side by side, each keeping their own current in check. You know, people always talk about revenge like it's something loud, explosive, dramatic, but sometimes the sweetest revenge is just living in peace while the folks who tried to control you are left sitting in the dark. What do you think is justice about punishment, or is it about restoring balance so everyone can finally breathe? Drop your thoughts down below, share your own stories. And if you've ever had to fight for your own bit of light, you're not alone. Hit that subscribe if you want more stories like this, because in this neighborhood, the current's always flowing and the drama's never quite over.